appreciate everyone being here. It's going to be a little bit of a just kind of 1-on-50 time with you all. But yeah, it's gonna be fun stuff. So Kasim is trying to join right now, but he's having some internet connectivity issues. And once he does join, I'll be able to let him in, and we'll be off to the races. But in the meantime, you're gonna hear me randomly ramble incoherently by myself while I wait for some chat to come in. But yeah, some pretty big changes that are happening inside of Google Ads with like a feed only campaigns. And I know that we spoke last week on how I'll have some more information about this to you all this week. But it's actually some pretty cool stuff. Actually, I see Kasim is in now. And hello, sir.
I did it.
Hey. I was sitting there just doing my little song and dance while I was waiting for you awkwardly.
Having technical difficulties.
Yeah. So we already have some questions that have come in right now.
Go away. It's Friday. What are you people doing?
Gosh, doesn't anybody have anything better to do?
Yeah.
No, we appreciate you all being here, actually, which is really, really cool. I'm just gonna start with a couple of the chat comments, just kind of kick things off. We have a person named Southwest Mobility, which is probably sounding like you're close to us. We're actually in the Southwest too, so it's kind of cool. It says, customer match policy. How adversely affected will my Performance Max campaign be if we are limited by policies that cannot upload customer lists? We sell durable medical equipment. There is going to be an element that you cannot use. Now, what's nice about Performance Max is when we've seen this actually time and time again, it will still remarket. Even if you don't have a list attached, but you're using your Google Ads remarketing tag fired through Google Tag Manager. That we've seen actually a really, really high ecom or ID, ecom prodigy or ID hit rate. And that actually will allow you to remarket. That'll actually allow you to remarket to the people. And actually, Kasim, I'm the host. If I click show, will that show up on the screen? Is that how that works?
That's how you do it. And I can't see any of the chats right now. I don't know if that's...
Ooh, that's such a cool feature. You have all the fun toys. It will be limited. Yes, it will be limited, but it's not inside of Performance Max. You just can't start another remarketing campaign. Now, a quick, cool tip that sometimes works is if you actually go into your audience settings and you create a custom audience and you use the people who have searched this term on Google and you type your own email address in there. Not email address. If you type in your own website address in that bar and make that as a custom audience, that is a way that I've actually seen some good amount of quality traffic from there, because you basically told Google, hey, anybody that goes here, I'd like to show ads to them. Well, anybody that goes here and it's your own website, you like to show ads to them. It's kind of a way to do remarketing. Now, Google's been all of a sudden, throwing up some red flags where it's like, can't use this audience. Sometimes that will happen, but give that one a try. See if that works for you as well.
That's so sneaky, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's kind of a workaround. But if Google, you're listening, I've never done that before, and please don't take that away from us. And then you have a part 2 of the question. Secondly, are you still okay with loading no assets in PMax when Google takes over smart shopping campaigns? So yes. And then one of the ways that we've been able to kind of springboard some campaigns, and there's a good part and a bad part. If you take your existing smart shopping campaign, turn it into a Performance Max campaign, it's going to try to add assets over time. And what you'll want to do is actually, if you remove those assets, it kind of still stays a smart shopping campaign for a little while longer. What that means is that Google is actually going to generate your own titles and headlines and descriptions, and it's going to start to eat into DSA. So it is still a Performance Max. It's still a smart shopping campaign under Performance Max, but then they're going to start to add videos, and then they're also going to start to add DSA, and there's no way around that. You can ask Google to opt out of the video network, but instead of kind of fighting this, what I would say is you could change it into a Performance Max campaign that actually goes after a different audience that a brand new Performance Max campaign will actually go after. And by changing that into a Performance Max campaign and not adding assets, that will give you a good returning and still a lot of heavy remarketing, and it'll try to grow out of that. But then at the same time, build a new Performance Max campaign, even with overlapping products, if it's e-commerce, or targets, if it's a lead generation, like your digital assets that you're sending traffic to. But then start to take your new Performance Max campaign and do a full build out. And you'll have two of them that are running kind of side by side to slightly different audiences. There will be overlap, and then you have to manage that overlap by either negative keywording with your rep, or if you're allowing those two to work together, because you're actually going to use your one PMax campaign to bring in a whole bunch of people, and then your smart shopping campaign that's turned into PMax campaign can sometimes also remarket the people that you're bringing in from the first PMax campaign. So attribution model also plays a big role in identifying what is working and making sure your customer paths are taking the correct path that you want it to take, and it's not fighting with each other. One area that I saw that actually starts to hurt this, though, is that depending upon how long that audience is actually in your old smart shopping campaign, now PMax campaign, sometimes that will fizzle out and start to decay because it's actually not bringing in new customers, and it's remarketed all it can, and the new customers are coming into your Performance Max campaign. So there's still that inevitable switch that we all have to go through, but there's a way to kind of bridge the gap of that switch to make sure it's not as painful.
Can I ask a question on that note, John?
Yeah.
Because we vacillated on this topic just a little bit. Initially, we were telling everybody you have to run dynamic remarketing alongside PMax because PMax doesn't remarket very well.
Yep.
But then at one point, I think I remember you saying dynamic remarketing ended up either pulling away or being deprioritized.
Dynamic remarketing on display. Yeah. Okay. YouTube remarketing is still really strong.
So the rule is right now what? Dynamic remarketing plus PMax no matter what?
YouTube remarketing alongside of PMax has not failed yet and has not hurt PMax yet. The only asterisk is look inside how much video activity you have in your PMax, and you can do that by multiplying your views by your average cost per view and then comparing that dollar amount or whatever currency you're using to your overall campaign spend and say, okay, this is how much YouTube is actually doing work inside of PMax. That's the point of delineation between you say, hey, I would like to accelerate this, or let's just let it go. Google officially last week stated that Performance Max display and YouTube are about a 60-40 split either way of new customer or remarketing. So it is still doing a good job of remarketing. And that's one of the reasons why I think our display remarketing alongside PMax sometimes has failed, is because it's starting to fight over the same person.
That was going to be my question. Why does it fail? And it's because they're going head to head. But wouldn't PMax just be prioritized over display, and then it just is what it is?
Not necessarily. It all depends on who Google thinks is going to convert, and if you're going after a different audience that is not going to convert. A lot of times we have seen that starting a remarketing campaign actually drives up your CPA because it's cheaper to get another lead and or sale rather than trying to bring back a previously uninterested person. So if PMax is doing a really good job at that, your dynamic remarketing may not work because...
Do we just give up on remarketing then? Like, smart shopping is a great remarketing mechanism. It's gone now.
What's funny is that remarketing works really, really well for high volume businesses. High volume accounts that you may be using a lot of top of funnel. Like I still use remarketing a lot, but that's because I actually don't use search anymore on Google. We're YouTube primarily, and we're spending a lot on YouTube. So I want that remarketing still to...
I just want to qualify. You're not saying we don't use search for our clients. You're saying for us right now, it's for us to get our campaign.
Us, yeah.
We still use search.
I'm going to get some angry emails.
Yeah.
You did what? No, we don't use it for Solutions 8 as much. And it's turning into PMax, but then there's also, obviously, we're kind of known for our YouTube. So I'm leveraging how we're known, which is smart marketing. But I do want that remarketing aspect to it. And I also want brand. So I want to gauge how my YouTube is working with. Am I bringing in more remarketing traffic? Yes. Am I getting more brand recognition? Yes. Is organic and direct going up? Yes. Is the quality and the types of leads that we're generating relevant to the marketing efforts that I'm producing? Yes. Like we're watching all that stuff, but that is one of the pieces of the puzzle that we're using in order to fit into our very specific marketing plan. So if you say, hey, I've run really broad, high volume search, yeah, throw a remarketing campaign on display and YouTube and even discovery. If you have a long sales cycle, yes, PMax may deprioritize the people that need a little extra love. If you have a short sales cycle that you're getting $5 leads, probably not. It might cost you $12 to bring the person back. $12 CPA is good, but compared to $5, where would you put your money? It's all situational. Cool. Next question. I love having control. This is just so much fun.
I have nothing to do.
Hide, show, hide, show. This is fun. I'm going to abuse this tool. It's amazing. Do you think max CPA will limit traffic? Well, sort of. So I think we're talking about TCPA, like with the maximum amount of money you're willing to spend, because there's maximum CPC and then there's target CPA. So well, let me give you an answer for both. Maximum CPC will actually limit the amount of traffic if you put your max CPC too high because you're spending too much for your daily budget. Imagine simple math. $10 clicks, $100 a day, 10 clicks. $50 clicks, $100 a day, 2 clicks. So yeah, you're going to limit your traffic if you pay too much on max CPV. Talking about TCPA, yes, if you tighten that belt too much and say, hey, only give me $10 leads and/or sales, it's like, okay, well, I have 100 people, these 3 are ready to go. So you're just going to limit the amount of traffic. Thank you for all the amazing content. Any recommendation, PMax or otherwise, for consumer SaaS? We have a subscription service with a single product. Happy to share all the content. I think that's a high integrity play that we're trying to do here, which is educate without selling a course that is going to decay next week. So appreciate.
We tried to do too.
Yeah, not a good idea. All of a sudden, I'm like, ooh, that's not applicable.
It went poorly.
And everyone else is like, I'm going to sell it. I'm like, oh, all right, way to aim the gun right at your foot and fire. But that is what it is. But here's what I would say for consumer SaaS. PMax is good. It's not a solve everything. It is always good to have in your media mix, I guess I would say, instead of Google. It's something you should master because we might wake up one day and be the only thing there. But for consumer SaaS, what I found out that SaaS is very difficult is there's long sales cycles. It's heavy competitive, and you need to really spend more money educating and differentiating yourself than it actually may seem is worth than just capturing bottom of the funnel traffic. So depending upon SaaS, it's hard to just generalize SaaS as everything because there's some tools out there that no one has and another tool out there that everyone has, like online bookkeeping as a SaaS. Like, well, that's everybody. That is like a knockoff of QuickBooks, for example, or what the consumer thinks is a knockoff of QuickBooks, which is actually more dangerous to your business. But using more media and content, and sometimes blogs, YouTube, even discovery, making sure that you're differentiating yourself from your competition with your unique value proposition and your unique selling proposition, and then also pointing out why you're better than your competitors, and then loving on those people for a long time means heavy remarketing in all aspects. This is where that remarketing aspect does take into consideration a lot. But the better you can do that job up front, you're going to have a longer sales pipeline, which means you're not going to see your return as immediate. But in the way that you'll see those new users coming in from your free trial subscriptions, you're actually going to have a better conversion rate into a paid user. So what I found out is that if just going after the bottom of the funnel traffic, a lot of times comes down to price. Well, if you're not the cheapest, you can't just use bottom of the funnel in a highly competitive industry with a low, cheap price. You're not going to win. You're going to be tested, but ultimately, a lot of times, whatever the better price SaaS tool wins. So how do you combat that? Well, you have to tell them why you're different, show them why you're different, and then also in SaaS, which goes against a lot of times a model of the SaaS, is you actually have to have a good sales force, a good human element to that. Where it's, do you have any questions? I see you haven't started a trial. Did you know that there's this feature in this tool that is different than anything else? There is a lot of educating. And the goal is once you get that user, you're basing your whole company's model off of long-term retention. Well, you're not going to get an opt-in that converts, that stays a long time unless they see the value. So start there. You're going to educate these people and start them on the right path with your company the right way first, even though it may not have a good ROAS or CPA immediately. You're talking 3 to 6 months worth of marketing and execution and remarketing. Then you're going to see the fruits of your labor. That's my opinion. What tool you use? PMax, yes, you could use PMax for sure, but you also should be using GSP. I don't like display. You also should be using YouTube. When I say GSP, I meant to say discovery. You want to have that search element, but you don't want to pay too much. You want to go after a little bit more broad traffic with a maximized conversions. Make sure you're tracking your signups. But once they sign up, that's when the real love starts too. Like, hey, welcome to the tool. We're glad you're here. Do you have any questions? What's your specific use case? What are you trying to achieve? Can I walk you through the best elements of our tool so that you get the most out of the tool? We can sell Google as a SaaS, but if you don't know that we're what we call the best in the industry, You can sign up with anybody. You go take down, an automated tool that markets your Google ads for you. The only reason why you are all here is because we've loved on you enough to show you that, yes, we believe we're the best. Cool. Lewis just waves and say hi. Hey, Lewis. All right. Next question. Should I exclude all visitors from my DSA campaign? Will it go after remarketing if I don't? Well, I wouldn't exclude all your visitors from your DSA campaign. That's a half-built bridge in my mind. If you do, I would actually start a DSA RLSA. So do a dynamic search ad for remarketing list.
Shout out to Osama.
Yeah, that's
his idea. We're stealing.
Yeah. So, but that would be one way. Here's the bad part that I think that we all have to kind of break ourselves out of collectively as online marketing geniuses, which is long gone are the days of one click to a sale. It doesn't happen anymore. If it does, it's in an industry that doesn't have a lot of competition and you're obviously the best. Then it's like, aha, obviously this is the only person that I would like to engage with. And then the first time I'm here and I obviously know everything that I need to know and I'll buy, or I'll also sign up. It doesn't happen that often. So what happens is if you have a time lag that's over 1 day or an engagement ratio of more than one click to a conversion, you're going to spend the money first and then hide from them. Which DSA, a lot of times what will happen is you'll see if you're running any sort of like data driven. If you're running data driven, as an example, I would invite you to look at your DSA campaign and see if there's any split conversions. If so, then that's a bad idea, because it means that it wasn't their first visit that got them to convert. They had to re-engage. Well, people on DSA especially are going to Google different things and keep seeing you and keep visiting you and then convert, whether that's a lead generation or a sale. Next is I like that I can hit the emoji a million times and it keeps showing up. This chat's fun. All right, Alfred, since you guys know a lot about real estate lead gen and PMax is not ideal, damn you, click farms. That's bane of my existence. Is YouTube a viable source to run ads for motivated sellers? How would you research this? My opinion is no, not unless you have really big budgets, because what you're going to attempt to do is make yourself so uniquely positioned in the market that a person is going to have to think of you as a household name because of your YouTube. That means who else in that space in your location that you're marketing may be a household name. So for things that are like OfferPad is huge. I'm not sure, Alfred, where you're at, but OfferPad here in Arizona and like 48sale.com or whatever it is, there's some like 3 people I can name off the top of my head. That's bad because now I got to use YouTube and spend $10,000 a day to educate everybody in this area that I'm the household brand name. Could work if you have a really, really good profit margin and there's a lot of business to do to be done in that area. But just know that that's something that is going to be expensive. And I think there's probably more than enough traffic to go around to the person that's, going to Google and looking for someone. Probably gonna be a cheaper path first off. Once you max that out, then think about YouTube, but I wouldn't start there. I just want to say that I'm having a really hard time deciding who's worse, Google support reps or Facebook support reps. What are your thoughts? Facebook support reps, they're worse.
I don't know. Here's the problem. Google support reps have a way more powerful. It'd be like, do you want the dummy on the nuclear sub or the dummy at the amusement park? Like, if the dummy at the amusement park is dumber, that's fine because at least, you know what I mean? I'd rather put up with somebody who's like on a 10 scale, a 3 if they're at amusement park than somebody who's even a 6 or a 7 on the nuclear sub. So I think no matter how bad the Google support reps are, the fact that they're on the nuclear sub, like Facebook is a carnival, and it's, I don't know. That's.
I guess if you say who is worse, I would say that the Facebook support was worse because I literally said, why are we like suspended? And they go, we're not sure. And I said, okay.
Yeah, we're suspended too. We don't know what to do here.
Well, using that word support there a little loosely, aren't you? But what's funny is I think Google's are more dangerous. So you have knowledge.
Facebook is worse, but Google's are more dangerous.
Yeah, because Google's just like, hey, auto apply everything. You're like,
Yeah, I actually really appreciate the fact that the Facebook ecosystem has just wholesale accepted the fact that we're not going to trust and or need these people unless you're in a compliance issue. I kind of wish that Google, dude, think about how much easier our jobs would be and how much better the entire Google network would be if everybody actually knew not to trust the support reps, because people still do. A lot of SMBs are still listening to those idiots.
Yeah, that's true. And that's what I'd say. Like the people. Well, here's the thing too: is there's also different levels of support reps. We have some Google reps that are not just the first tier up that just hop on to say, oh, you know what, auto apply everything would be amazing for you. Those people, my opinion, I'm sorry if you're listening, doesn't do anyone any good. That's egregious in my opinion. With someone else's money. The other part, when you get upper echelon Google tiers, they are fantastic. They are amazing. I wish those type of people were on all accounts. It would just be so much better. Even just for the agencies, I'm like, hey, I'm having an issue with this, and they're like, let me go grab like someone that's actually can make them need a move, and I'll let you know how it goes. Like those people are amazing. I try to hire them all the time. Those are excellent people. But the problem is those people come in on accounts that are like 250K and above, which is horrible.
Who only cares about money.
All right. Following up on the SaaS question, is there any way to pass long-term value data? Some customers stay for 1 month, some for 40. Any real reason, I guess, to tell Google, get me more of the 40-month type? So this is where I would say that you want to lean into automation that much, because there's so much uniqueness that goes into why a person stays and why a person does not, that I don't think you can leverage Google's algorithm to do so. My opinion would be to look into actually why the reason why a person has joined, and even all the way back to your ads. What keywords did they use? How long do they take to convert? What campaigns did they come in from? What was the form that they filled out when they signed up that says I need help with XYZ? This is where I would say, in my opinion, it's a little bit more use case specific for a user, rather than just say like, hey, everyone that came in from my display campaign must be better because these 3 people came there. That's a causation, but not the correlation. So I think that would be something that I take into consideration very seriously. I've taken 30 keywords and whittled them down to 2, because after 6 months, I saw that 80% of our conversions came from those 2 keywords. I just made my campaign much more efficient because I just dumped all my ad spend there, and my cost per lead went from 70 to 30, and my close rate didn't change. So try to get enough data as possible to draw that very solid correlation, then test that correlation. Bidding strategies aren't going to help there. I'm just hitting every single one. I'm just showing them. I should probably start like screening these things before, so it's not just people talking. Here we go. Question inspired by Kasim's podcast. Hey, what's your naming convention for PMax asset listing groups?
This is the problem, John, when you create content, is you're actually held accountable to it later. So me and Ralph did a podcast on nomenclature, and we did it because I was so impressed with his nomenclature internally, specifically with his Facebook campaign nomenclature. Like they've got it rock solid locked down. And I think part of the reason that we're a little spoiled is in Google, the filtering is done on campaign and feature levels. And so you can pre-filter without quite as stringent nomenclature. And so ours, Dave, is the campaign type is already shown. So we always tag everything so late. And then some of it ends up being kind of client and or industry specific. I don't know that we have anything concrete or solidified.
One thing that I like to do with nomenclature is, especially this is more consistent with PMax than anything else, is more important, I guess I would say, is in your asset groups. I like to describe either the product or the audience that I'm going after, or I would say the product and the audience that I'm going after in one, and then I'll repeat that process. So for example, if I'm running a test for a product, and there's a difference between like button-down shirt and blue jeans. Okay, I might have 4 blue jeans asset groups. One's going to a combined audience of my choosing. One's going to an interest demo. One's going to a keyword with intent, and one's going to a keyword with search recency. And then when I look at my listing groups, even though that's only 1/6 of the area that conversions can come in from, I can see trends of how those audiences are doing to that one product. But that one from the listing group, I'm like, okay, the blue jeans to the interest, the blue jeans to the all converters, the blue jeans to, I can see how that is working without having to hop in and be like, oh yeah, that's what that one was. Asset group 3 is going to this audience. Asset group 17 is going to that audience. So naming those to be able to reference easily in order for you to make your optimizations more clearly, I think is pretty much up to your choosing. I just like to set up that way to see it at the listening group level so I can compare. I have an e-commerce client that's running only text ad campaigns right now. I've convinced them to give PMax a try. Should we launch shopping as well or let PMax cover that? So here's the oddity that you're probably going to see. If you launch PMax, your text-only campaigns may dwindle. If DSA is having a good result inside of PMax, those two will fight. My opinion is if they're running text ads only right now, if possible, I wouldn't do this in Lua, but if possible, if you really wanted to run PMax, change those match types to phrase and exact. If they're broad and you launch a PMax that's using DSA, that's also essentially broad, and those two are going to fight with each other. And I've had it where some campaigns is like 2,200, and all of a sudden 200, 2,000. The next day, 200, 2,000, and you see them flip-flopping. And I'm on different bidding strategies, and I'm like, this is not going to work. So I've seen that if you have a search campaign, change those to phrase exact means that will scoop up more often those good users. And then your PMax campaign does DSA to find you other keywords that you can then transfer back into your search campaign if they're doing well in DSA, but you also have shopping there that's going to scoop up a whole bunch of other traffic. So yes, I would try, but just know that those two campaign types will fight if they're broadly related to the same traffic that's searching inbound. And then perfect. So reposting case. So Chris, that's good there. Awesome. What is the best setup for a video campaign, which is sales oriented, and I want to lead users to a specific landing page on the website and not a YouTube channel? So the best setup that is sales oriented, 2 questions. And I don't know if we can get through this because everything that we do is really specific. Like I don't cookie cut or anything, so sometimes I need more information. But video campaign that's sales oriented. Are there any other campaigns you're running, like brand and PMax or remarketing? That's the first question I have. The second question is it a high demand product that has a low price, or are we talking about like a $10,000 like go-kart that's like, okay, I'm not just gonna like, oh sweet, that's what I need, like 10 grand sale. Like, is it gonna take some time? So those are 2 things that I'm gonna need to know before I can give an opinion. Wait, there's more. I want to target specific video placements of competitor videos that have a lot of views per day. I checked with keyword everywhere extension. That's a really cool extension, by the way. I tried a few different things with selecting. And then the last part is ads can appear on YouTube video options and the campaign won't start. Want to target. Okay. Oh, I tried a few different ways with selecting ads can appear on YouTube video option and the campaign will start. Okay, so a few things here. If you're targeting a specific YouTube channel or video, that is going to be very expensive. So try a max CPB and set it to like $20. You may find that a cost per view could be $6 if it's a very popular channel, which means other advertisers are trying to do that. Think of it like search. It's a bidding. It's a war you're in with other people also wanting to be there. And if you don't pay more than they will, they show up and you do not, and your ads just never run and you don't know why. So know that that placement is going to be very expensive, so make sure it's worth it. That's going to solve that issue for you. But I would actually more so use it as a secondary strategy. Like, it's a good placement, but that's not where I would start. That's just going to be your most expensive Me Too moment where it's like, hey, I also do that too, and I'm paying $5 to get you to know that. That's very, very, very expensive. But again, let me know what other campaign types you're also running, because that's gonna help. Over the past several months, we've seen the cost per conversion come down and the conversion rate go up consistently. How and when to make changes to keep this moving in an upward trend when it stabilizes? Continually add small amounts of budget every 2 weeks. And when I would say continually add, I would say maybe 10 to 20% increase every 2 weeks. That'll keep that learning and heading in the right direction. You're going to hit a point of diminishing returns sometime, and that's when you stop, potentially need to go back one step, reduce what you just increased, and then analyze competitors' price, all the other good stuff, market penetration trends, and have you saturated the market, yada, yada, yada. Second part. I have a really terrible job at this. I wish I could pass you back admin ownership, Kasim.
Yeah, so everybody knows my internet connectivity is just like crazy slaughtered, and so I had John log in as the admin today, and now I'm useless.
No, you're not useless. I just don't know. Oh, don't block users on YouTube. That's a bad button. Okay, sorry, Nick. I almost blocked you. I don't know what I'm doing here.
Can you make me an admin if you hover over my name or my avatar? Is it like upgrade, promote,
I can remove guest and edit your name.
destroy?
Okay, no, I don't think I can.
It's no big deal.
Yeah. Cool. Currently using TROAS with 3.75, but not getting that number at a blended account level. Yeah. There's other campaigns that are going on. So if you're using a TROAS on one campaign, you also have to obviously look at the return on ad spend of the other campaigns and how they're spent and also how they're overlapping. If you're using another campaign going to the same audience, you might get view attribution on one and click attribution on the other, but it all just really depends on what the customer journey path is. I don't know if I can solve this on it, because what you don't want to do is just start hacking off campaigns. You're going to see another campaign start to be reduced because of that. Really know your customer journey and your customer path. I can't stress this enough. Also, omni-channel. A lot of times people launch a PMax campaign, get a 5x return, and be like, wow, this is fantastic. But then they don't realize that they spent 10 grand and made $20,000 in sales, but their actual bottom line didn't move. They didn't actually make those sales. It was just like, hey, I also got to click. Facebook started, but I also got to click. So that's the area that you have to look at, is just because the individual channel reports a return on ad spend or a value does not mean that it started there. It might mean that it ended there. So it's hard for me to kind of say, but I guess the instruction I would give to you is study that customer journey as much as you can. Use Northbeam if you like that. That'll tell you the journey. Elbow cough. All right. Apparel company print on demand with the same product on PMax. Nick says, yeah. Look at time lag too. Time lag is going to help, because if you increase your ad spend, that might take 2 weeks to actually increase. Also look at stock, and also look at the products that are selling. Also look at the average order value of that product that's selling. Those are all 3 things that are going to affect that ROAS as well. What are your thoughts on services like ClickCease? Kasim, I'll take it.
They don't work. That makes me feel bad to say, because I really liked the guys from ClickCease. They asked us to sponsor. We tested it on 5 accounts. It made minor, almost negligible improvements on 2, and then 3 of them actually performed worse. And I think they performed worse because ClickCease actually killed some quality traffic. There are a ton of really legitimate reasons that people might be going through a proxy or a VPN, number 1. And then number 2, I think all the bot traffic that we're experiencing is way more sophisticated than anything ClickCease is going to find. Here's the thing. Google is heavily incentivized to stop bots and click farms. If the $1 trillion god of the internet hasn't solved this problem, I don't think like a little startup is going to get there. You know what I mean? And maybe that's dismissive, because I know that technology sometimes can come from, emerging markets, but it hasn't worked for me. I don't know anybody that it's worked for. I don't know any agencies except for Neil Patel, but I know that he's paid to be a sponsor. I don't know any agencies that push it really hard, so I haven't tried PPC Protect. Maybe that one's better. But no, they don't work for us.
The thing that I don't like is there's a shift in the conversion habit of a customer and then a KPI that's being tracked at the same time that dictates if they get banned. And it's the same metric. Visits to a site before they get banned, or ad clicks before they get banned. That's a dangerous game to leave up to a novice user.
Dude, well, to the point that you just made, it's actually amplified, because what ClickCease is doing, it's part of their value proposition. They're sharing banned IPs across all accounts. So if there's, let's say that less than half of the ClickCease users are sophisticated enough to understand how or why they should be banning things, ClickCease is saying, oh, you're saying that's a bad user. We're going to ban those across all of our accounts. So
I know that.
real question becomes, how much do I trust all ClickCease users?
Well, that's what's dangerous too. Is it says there's 20% of people that are like, no, after 2 clicks, ban them.
Yeah.
And it's like 14-day time lag. Like, okay, so what does that mean now? Like, you get 2 chances, and then I'm hiding from you. So where'd your money go? I spent that. but now I know that person will never come back and be like, yeah, but that's probably not good.
Yeah, that's funny. I spent that. Dave says that ClickCease doesn't work with PMax. Why not? I figured ClickCease is just IP address suppression, right? So why wouldn't it work with PMax?
The way that it implements it in Google is by adding IP exclusions, which is
Oh, PMax doesn't make that available. Got it.
Yeah.
You can't do IP exclusions account wide, or you can, and PMax just doesn't care.
No, you can't do it in account wide. It actually will append it to the individual campaigns.
Well, dude, there's another flaw in ClickCease then. So you're going to IP address exclusion on a per campaign basis. If you launch a new campaign, what do you have to do? Copy all of your IP address exclusions over to a new campaign? And does ClickCease do that? I just don't buy it.
ClickCease makes sense on like simple search campaigns, but it doesn't apply to all the advanced strategies. Like imagine spending so much money to warm up a user on display and YouTube, and then them to like, let's say, click into it a couple times, then banned. Like how much money and how much time did you just waste? To ban them when they're 20 feet away from the finish line?
That's the problem. Is the ClickCease paradigm is, they clicked and didn't buy, they're probably spam, and it's like, no, they're probably on the 500 touch point paradigm that Google's operating under.
Be like, oh, you just know they're either going to choose you or not. They're never going to do a competitive analysis on you. They're not going to think about it and also refer other people from their office to also look at your site. Like, come on.
Yeah. Plus, IP address exclusion. If I were actually a spammer, the only people you're going to get are unsophisticated competitors. So we have a client who buys and sells gold, and he's got a guy that always clicks on his ads. Like, we could get that guy. You know what I mean? That guy's not going to understand how to. But an IP address is not. It's not a social security number. Like, it's actually pretty easy to roll. So if I'm even semi-sophisticated, I can get around that exclusion with ease.
Or it's like if there's a shared IP from a building, you're like everyone in that apartment.
Everybody in, the entirety of this business park. There's 100,000 square feet worth of offices, and all of you are banned.
It's like the parents that like around all the kids for fighting when the one kid was like, I didn't say anything.
It's so funny.
Thanks for answering my question. Yes, it was for the target CPA at PMax new campaign. I noticed I put 25. It was getting really low. Then no target traffic started coming. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, target CPA will absolutely restrict, because what you basically told Google is, hey, don't spend a dime unless you know you can get a $25 cost per acquisition. They go, well, I don't know. You're like, well, then don't spend that dime. Bidding strategies are fun. VR doing YouTube ads lead gen for a roof, and he wanted to test me out for 1 month. We got 27 leads the first month, but made the mistake of pausing the campaign. Now he's a believer, renewed the retainer. I turned the campaigns back on, and I was struggling to get leads again. Any recommendations? Does duplicating the campaign work? Yeah, it depends on how it's struggling. If it's still spending and leads aren't coming in, look at your placements. A lot of times what happens is YouTube will make a shift to the wrong people because they saw a bunch of app and game clicks come in. So they said, okay, I got a whole bunch of leads, and then game clicks came in. Well, that's a 40% click-through rate. There must be good people over here, and it's a 9-year-old slamming Candy Crush. So just know that a lot of times placement exclusions is where you need to focus. Also, using automated bidding strategies, if you're not, will also help, because it starts to push away from those people that are clicking but not buying, and so it starts to move to the other direction. The problem is you've already spent the money heading in the direction. There's no signal to move it to the other direction. You have to go in and add that signal by excluding those people. Thank you for the SaaS comments. You're welcome, Borislav, which, if I'm totally butchering that name, I'm sorry, but I just wanted to say, because that's a really cool name. We are running a brand campaign managed at 90% plus click share. If PMax with brand keywords excluded the rep, good job. Is this setup inferior to just PMax brand keywords? No. The only thing is, don't use Google ads to only track everything. Look at your analytics to see if your direct and organic is also rising and falling with the increase or decrease of PMax that may not be representative of the brand campaign, because the brand campaign didn't also rise and fall with the ad spend in order to capture the person when they finally hit the last point in the series, and Google's not going to capture everyone. Also only going to capture 60% of your conversions if you're using analytics as a source inside of Google Ads. I'm tired, everyone.
I'm just going to cut that out and have that as my ringtone.
it's going to go off at 3 a.m. It's like, analytics and research like, it's in my sleep.
Hey, you nailed the name pronunciation. I was
I
worried.
did.
Yeah.
I did too.
Yeah.
My grandpa was Russian Orthodox, so I got that going for me now.
You got it. Yeah. Oh, you're like 99 Irish. Where did the Russian come from?
90% Irish, 10% mixed between Polish and Russian.
Okay.
Which makes sense because I really like potatoes.
I was just gonna make a potato joke. Damn it, John.
I grew up my whole life getting that joke at me, so now it's a preemptive strike. So potatoes make good food and vodka. Borislav's going to come in and be like, no, it doesn't. This is going to be better, and I'll just take your word for it. I'm having a problem changing a billing country from USA to Canada. It's a simple drop down. It won't work. Facebook said they cannot do anything. I'm like, are you kidding? Yeah. It's that's why when I'm like, why would this work? They're like, and then they just like leave chat. Alfred asked, this is to you, Kasim. Where do we find this podcast?
Alfred, we have 2 podcasts. We have there's Perpetual Traffic that isn't really our podcast. I'm the co-host because affirmative action. And and John, can you drop Perpetual Traffic? And I can't drop it into the chat because I'm not the. Ooh. Just go to perpetualtraffic.com. And then we also have here we go. I just made myself the admin on YouTube. We also have the Google Ads podcast, which is really just our YouTube videos turned into podcasts. But I know podcasts sometimes are a little bit more accessible for folks. So if that's something that you want, God bless you. And I'll drop a link into the chat too.
Yeah, I love podcasts are so awesome. I don't listen to enough because I don't have enough time, but that's always something like I always wanted to read and I never had any time. Like, well, I'll do podcasts, and now I still don't have any time.
Dude, guess how many downloads we get at Perpetual Traffic?
What?
Month. Guess how many downloads a month?
250,000.
300,000 downloads. I know.
It's amazing.
Yeah. It's like 10 Madison Square Gardens.
I don't know. And I've been on that podcast. Now that you told me, I'm going to get there and be like,
oh, dear God.
Hi. We get stage fright virtually. It's awesome. Dave says, I haven't seen my text ads die off or my DSA die off since started PMax, but I also run lower budgets than John. It's funny. You won't necessarily see them die off if there is more search pressure to be had. What I actually would invite you to look at, though, Dave, if you get bored one day, is look through your insights into that search category area. And sometimes when you open it up week over week or month over month, you'll see like 60% increase in conversions, 40% decrease in conversions. Compare that to your shopping campaign or your search campaigns, search terms. Sometimes you'll see them flip-flopping. It's really kind of funny. Don't want to hog all the time, so feel free to ignore. Borislav, I'm just going to say your name. You're good, man. That's why we're here. This is actually a first come, first serve. We're kind of like a restaurant. Whoever chats first gets seated.
There you go.
Juan, who is the same name as me, but more elegantly said Juan. That's just a cool name. Awesome content. I've learned a lot from your videos. I'm a small business owner doing a lot myself, so it's really refreshing when you get direct and valuable content like yours. So I appreciate that. That's what we're trying to do here. So it's fun to see that it's kind of it's understood and appreciated of what we're doing. So it helps us want to continue to do these, which is great.
We just want friends.
Yeah, I'm very, very lonely. I sit in a room by myself here, so I talk to you all day. Google Ads is currently using analytics conversions. Yes, we have 4-digit conversions each month. Decent amount of data. Worth moving to Google Ads tag for tracker. Too big a risk. Reset learning. No. Here's what I would do. Use a secondary conversion action that is Google Ads tag implemented. So the Google Ads conversion tag. Run that as a secondary conversion action though on the same trigger, and take a look at your conversions post 30, 60 days and see which one's higher. Then use that one. Just make sure that your remarketing is not going to be changed by source. That's where this thing gets a little bit messed up. Is if you are remarketing in analytics and then you start to remarket tag, you're going to go through a relearning because Google's just going to be like, oh, cool. So ignore those people and go after the fresh leads that you just brought in. And if you have a 30-day time lag-ish, you're going to feel that for 30 days. 10-day time lag, you're going to feel it for 10 days. So your conversion action, make sure you implement that through the tag, but don't implement your remarketing through the tag at the same time, and then go. Then you're gonna see a big mess up. Dave, I was gonna ask why John is playing Vanna today. Ding, ding. Yeah, Vanna
Who's the
White.
new Vanna White? Isn't it somebody we know? Is it the girl from Big Bang?
Is it really?
Yeah.
All right, now I gotta look at this. I'm gonna waste everyone's time here for a minute. Who is the new Vanna White? It is.
No.
I don't know. Just says to stay on. Okay. Well, we know we have like 10 minutes left, so I'm gonna keep going here. I'm using ClickCease right now. Not sure when to continue. Some of the accounts are getting worse. Yeah, Dave, that's exactly what we saw. Everything just kind of slow decline. So I would just be wary of it. If we have a very popular product range and we just start our PMax, should we make a discount for 6 weeks on the product to help PMax to sell the product and make it focus on those products? Yeah, I wouldn't. I've actually seen some pretty damaging results when people just make simple price increases. So much so that it's kind of been a thing in the community. A lot of the forums that I'm a part of that we talk about like more advanced strategies. There's always a person that's like, all right, everything's slowed down, like kind of bad. Now, I did a price increase, so obviously this is going to happen. So I've never actually done it. I've always just felt like that was a bad idea because you're training Google to go after these certain people and then just raise the price on all of them. And you're like, okay, well, let's just restart now, ignore all those people because they're never going to buy from you again and start fresh. I'm like, why did you just start there? Like, it makes sense to me in my mind logically. So I would just say not yet. I would just start off as much as you can. And that's really going to be your organic ecosystem of your product in Google Ads. Like when I say organic ecosystem, I mean like, do people want to buy that product for that price? And if not, you're not just going to like kind of trick Google to find those people. They're still humans that want to buy a product. Hey guys, quick question. Any automated chatbot tools platform you recommend for lead gen? I was looking at Talk. Oh yeah, Talk.2. I love that one. But it looks kind of hard to implement Google Ads conversion tracking into it. Yeah, we don't actually use that at all for that. Partially because we get too much spam in chat. But it's in an industry that's ridiculously niche. So one of them, for example, is a medical equipment preventative maintenance company. And people come in thinking, oh, they fix medical equipment. So you get to the 78-year-old grandma that comes in and it's like, my wheel and my walker broke. And I'm not counting that as a conversion. So just know that you're going to have to filter through those things. But
it's just 70-year-old grandma's voice. My wheel on my walker.
My wheel's broken. Hell. I don't know why she's also Southern.
We just got canceled just now. This is the end for us.
I better go through rapid fire soon while we're still on air. Oh, that's awesome. That's actually a real lead, though. I'm not actually making that up.
There's just Dave talking crap about ClickCease.
We'll read that off here soon. I'm going to try to get to as many questions as I can. Oh, he actually has something for you. Kasim, that is an option to ban across all accounts. You don't have to do that.
Dave, you're talking about the shared IP pool?
Yeah, I think so.
Got it.
It's good to know, though. If we have a very popular product range and we just started our PMax, should we make a disc? Oh, we already did that one. Let's see. Pretty sure John is also 20% Googlebot. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, I'm scrolling through some comments here. Beer says y'all complaining about Google and Facebook support, but the absolute worst is Amazon. Okay, here's a good one, actually. I want to address this. John Rowland, does Google Analytics 4 offer any better attribution on top of funnel than Universal Analytics? Here's the thing. No, but it's different. So essentially what Google UA used to do is just count the same person as two different sessions and treat them independently. GA4 has counted those people as two different events and treats them separately. So I haven't found a way that Google, for some reason, thinks that GA4 is going to solve the not being able to string a person along, but they basically just implemented a non-stringable solution in a different way. So instead of users now called events, I've still seen double tracking. So I haven't seen it yet, but that doesn't mean that it's not solvable or that I just don't know and everyone else doesn't know what they're doing. So I don't know yet. That's why I just been sticking to Google Ads conversion tracking, but analytics, just for some reason, I cannot get it to work right. Dennis says, hi guys, our smart shopping just got automatically upgraded to PMax. Any action steps to improve, or shall I just stay with this trend for PMax? Oh man, Dennis, I would invite you to take a look at our channel, on our YouTube channel. Look at those videos. Long story short, hang tight with that one that just was upgraded, but then start PMax from the get-go again in another campaign. And we actually have like a 3-part series on how to set up PMax. It's going to take you like 2 hours to get through, but it's worth it. I would definitely check that out. PMax did improve. It says PMax did improve since 8 weeks. Shall I still wait for improvement? 2 conversions per day. Smart shopping worked far better before. Normally what that happens is because it's going to go after traffic that is not already known to you. What smart shopping did is just say, hey, everyone that's gotten here to this point from all marketing efforts that's going to convert, they just hunt them down. That's why it looks better. PMax is more cold traffic. You actually have to start from the beginning, so make sure it's well built out. 5 videos, 20 images, 15 headlines, different audience signals. Compare those audience signals. Build, this is why I've always said from the beginning, 50 to 60 to 70 asset groups to test all of this stuff too. It's a big build out. You're basically rebuilding your entire account within PMax. It's hard, but yeah, I would say 8 weeks is good, but there's something else there that's not gaining traction. And I don't have enough time to diagnose everything here, but just covering the bases, make sure it's well built out to high degree. You're thinking about top, middle, and bottom of the funnel all in one. And look at like your asset groups and say, would I just look at this if I was on display and say, yep, I'll buy. If not, you need to have different campaign types. VR on YouTube ads in a single campaign and ad group. If you have in-market roofing audience and have a topic of luxury, is this considered stacking or layering? And is this an and or logic? It is actually, I think in my mind, stacking and layering would be the same thing. Kasim, would you agree? I thought there was, it's definitely an or logic on YouTube. In an ad group, that you'll see traffic and conversions from different versions of it.
That might be what VR is saying. I think he's saying, I don't think he's asking, is this stacking or layering? I think he's saying, is this considered stacking?
Stacking or layering?
Yeah.
Got it. No, if it's in the same ad group, if you're using, well, I guess it was this, if you're using custom audiences, it's an or logic. If you're using like a roofing audience and have a topic of luxury, no, the topic and a roofing audience, I don't know how you're
Google audiences or audiences unless you build the custom audience specifically in the audience manager, but that's not even available and accessible to most campaign types.
Yeah, like you can still do DSK. Like if you have a DSK and a custom audience in one ad group, that is a and. If you're using a roofing audience so if you're using like audiences and topics, that's going to be considered an or, so you're safe there. It's really weird how Google works. But if you're not getting the volume, my suggestion is to split them out into 2 different campaigns and see if one takes off and one does not. Then it might have actually been an and. But I've never had it be an and. The only time I've ever seen it as an and was DSK plus anything else. Opinion on just running shopping on PMax, no assets. Yeah, again, this is going to be that kind of like feed only. Just know, take a step back outside of Google for a moment. Feed only PMax is very effective. Sometimes if you are spending, let's say, $20,000 a month on Facebook, for example, you start a feed only PMax and spend $200 a day, you're going to get 10x results. There's not enough budget or signals to go outside of the existing audiences that are already coming in. So that's like saying, hey, I'm running just remarketing to all existing traffic. Is this okay? Yes, but what is your goal? Is it to grow your business? Then no. Is it to bring just pure ROAS remarketing on all of your other efforts? Then yes. So it all depends on what your goal is. But I don't run a feed only PMax just by itself unless I know that A, there's no other traffic that's coming in from any other source, and B, I don't need to impress new cold traffic. There's already enough direct traffic and organic traffic to the site that's coming in. Also, the shopping portion is doing a good job of doing small amount of inbound traffic and then heavy amount of remarketing. So understand how and why those users are there. It will greatly affect if you should run it or not based on your company's goals. For top of funnel campaign that ultimately should result in brand traffic, how do you go about estimating lift? Example, run only 25 states to see if they start to outperform. If you're running top of funnel campaigns, here's what I actually do is run a brand lift campaign, which is, everyone's seen those. You ever seen those on YouTube where it's like, hey, who would you buy from? And then there's like 4 competitors and then you get to choose. That actually works really well. If you're doing top of funnel, run a YouTube campaign in that area and say, have you heard of these companies? And, or and then put your company along with like 3 other random companies and see if you're selected. So that's actually a really good way to measure brand lift. But if not, just run your brand campaign. I usually max out my brand spend. And if I see my search impression share lost by budget start to increase, I know that that's having an effect.
What scares me on that who would you buy from is you're also helping to build the brand awareness of 3 other competitors.
Be like, who's the best agency? Bad PPC, bad SEM, bad SEO, or Solutions 8?
Yeah. I'd pull a Trump and I'd label them all something, you know what I mean? Like Sleepy Joe. I'm not going to do it to our competitors because, you know.
Who would you rather have run your
illogical position?
Solutions 8, Kasim, John, or Solate?
Hey.
Brand's working great.
So funny.
But I would one of the best way to do it though is run your brand campaign at higher daily ad spend than you can see as traffic and see if it starts to have brand lift. That's honestly the best way because that's saying, is it the am I making an impact, and then are they actually taking action? Because people can know about you, but they still won't buy from you. Well, that's bad.
That's worse maybe than them
right.
buying from you. Yeah.
Exactly. The idea behind discount is that we have same private label product range, so we might be able to sell those to cheaper people who are looking for. Yeah, that I would say that. Yeah, that's Walmart's model, great value. Like everyone's heard of like Choco Puffs, and you're like, that's Cocoa Puffs. Like I know it's cheaper. So yes, that could work. Just know that what you do now, starting off, is going to teach the entire account what to do later. So if you're going to make a drastic shift, you're not going to see that shift take place favorably. For leads, I am running campaigns on manual CPC and how to scale them further. Switch to non-manual CPC. Honestly. I would actually try maximize conversions with a TCPA and then keep it at the same CPA that you're getting plus 20%. So for example, if you're in a manual, I'd switch it to maximize conversions with TCPA. If you're getting $100 leads now, set it to 120. See if you can scale that, because what that'll do is it'll get your what can you spend threshold without going into, but I'm now paying more per lead. You'll sometimes find 20 or 30% higher. If you just increase your budget on manual CPC, Google's like, I brought you the uninterested person at the same price. Why are you complaining? So that's the difference there. Okay, we actually have like 2 questions left, and I think we have 1 minute. So let me just see here. We maximize conversions if you let it run long enough. Will it basically settle at the best possible CPA for the budget you provide? Therefore, setting the target CPA is lower. I just started that one on accident. Then the campaign will spend less. Yes. So if you set a TCPA and a $10,000 per day budget, you'll see that it gets to like $300 a day, and that's the best it's going to do. But if you give it more time, sometimes you can squeak out an additional 20% of volume out of that. But that is a way to basically just leverage what Google already knows. But what you're not thinking about is how do I tell Google more, like feeding it more top of the funnel users and educating it, or loosening the reins and then teaching it that these people that you thought were not going to buy may actually buy. And also make sure that you set your TCPA higher than what you actually want, because you're going to get $10 leads and $50 leads, which is going to give you a 30 target cost per acquisition. So set it higher so that you can balance it out with cheap and expensive leads. Smart Shopping used to do well, but now it seems like it's going down. I haven't touched anything in 2 months since last scale. There's no T ROAS. I should have put T ROAS on. My ROAS were 4, now 2. I wish I could answer this question. There's so many things going through my mind. If nothing's changed,
the upgrade.
Yeah, Smart Shopping is being demoted, so Google's probably prioritizing it a lot less. Here, does it make sense to run the same keywords as Smart Bidding campaign in parallel with manual CPC? Yes, but don't use the same match types for the same keywords. Hey, we did it.
We did it. I didn't do anything. I just sat here and watched you do it.
Well, since we're still in the same minute, on this one here, if you use Smart Bidding on the same keywords and those keywords are broad, or even phrase match, sometimes they're like, well, that keyword and that keyword are close enough related, so whatever's spending more and having the better results is just going to suck up that keyword, even if the other keyword was an exact match. So those two will fight, because Google's like, exact match, close variant, which just means whatever we want. So just know that those two are going to fight. But ad preview diagnosis will tell you exactly which keyword was going to win.
No, we did it.
Hey.